As a believer, you are saved. You know that you are going to heaven. God loves you. God has forgiven you of your sins. That will not make you rich though. Right? That doesn't matter in the marketplace. You cannot separate prayer and work. You can't separate the two. You have to be able to practice both. When you take your gift and you use it to bless people, you find ways to strategically.
Welcome to another edition of Mindset Profits. We are going corporate today because the matter is serious today. I always talk about someone who helped me when I quit. Remember, I say I quit after 2 months and I talked to other creators. Well, his other creators. Boloko, welcome, man.
No, thank you, brother. Thank you.
I want to give a nice long intro. He is the author of this book, and that's what we're talking about today. Unlocking Favor with God and Men for 2026. I know a lot of you out there are tired because you know life cannot continue the same way. 2025 was painful. 2024 was painful. And something has to change some way. If you're a believer and you're wondering, where is God in this equation? Yeah, this is going to be one for you. Why did you write this book? Before I continue with my intro, because yours has to be long.
You see, the reason I wrote that book is from a place of reflection.
Yeah.
Man, how did I get to where I am now? How did we get to the point where these things are happening, these doors are opening? I don't come from connections, I don't come from money, I don't come from any kind of status. So the question then is, how did I get here? How did we get to a point where we have this platform that's reaching people around the world, this voice that's influencing people in such a powerful way? Every day someone is saying, you've saved my family, you've changed my life. How did we get there? And for me, the answer came down to God's favor. It is God's favor, and that favor is then expressed through people, because you can't have favor with God if you don't have favor with people. So that for me was the answer to how did we get here.
Man, I want to say thank you first and foremost. I think I was saying to you, I've been waiting for this interview, and the main reason is to just say thank you. Thank you for the person that you are. Thank you for sharing as freely and being as giving as you are. I quit after 2 months of starting this podcast, and I went and said my goal was just to speak to other creators and find out what's going on, and I happened to sit next to you in one event. So the first thing, you spoke to Nochil and you showed him screenshots of a conversation you had with him years back that changed your life. And I thought, this is nice. Maybe let me do the same and ask you for some advice. And you said part of the reason why things are moving slow, one was, I don't know the right questions to be asking yet. And the only way I'm going to know is doing more. Yeah. Put 5 more episodes out there, pay attention to the analytics and see which ones are working. They will guide you. I took that. The other thing that you said was you actually don't want people to be watching your videos now. Like, get comfortable with low views. Because if I put you in a room that is 30 people, how are you going to feel? And when you asked me that question, I realized that if I run workshops with 30 people and I feel amazing. And I was looking at 30 views differently. And from that conversation, 30 views meant a whole different thing, because you said you have 30 people that you've touched today. So thank you for that, because, man, I went back from there with renewed fire. And I did 2 episodes a week for about 6 months. I think I ended up burning out. But
wow. No, but that's good, though.
You put too much fire in me.
That's good. That's absolutely good. You want to get a little burnout. You know, and not to say that you want to completely destroy yourself, but you want to test your limits. Because the only reason why people get burnt out is because they got to the point where they exceeded their limits. And when you come back from your burnout, your capacity has increased.
It
You know,
has.
you can go even further now. You can do more. You're wiser. You know some stuff you didn't before. So I recommend Burnout. I recommend Burnout every single time.
Is it? Well, it did work. And I see what you mean now, because even coming back after the burnout, I became someone who is a system to begin with. So now I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I actually do a whole lot more than I used to do when I got burnt out. But I don't get tired anymore. So I see the picture that you're painting there. What would you say, I think, off the bat to someone looking forward to 2026 and saying, I've been a believer all my life. I don't see changes, to the point of almost feeling like this has been a waste of time?
You have to start asking the right questions.
Yeah.
You have to start analyzing your life. I think most people don't have the courage to question things. So what happens is, I'm doing things in a way that doesn't work, but this is how I've always done it. And I'm expecting results. And most people don't realize, I don't know who it is that defined insanity as doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Einstein.
And most people are there. Most people are there. And it's a hard thing to say to someone when they say, I've been praying, I've had my faith, I've done the work, I've been applying for jobs, I've done this, I've done that. But I'll give you an example. Sometimes I talk to people who are believers and they say, I can't seem to get a job. Pray for me to get a job. It's been years that I haven't gotten a job. Then I say, have you considered starting a business? Maybe, because if you apply for jobs for 3 years and nothing is moving, then you have to assume that you are doing the wrong thing. But most people are too proud to admit that they could be doing the wrong thing. They are too set in their ways to assume I could be doing the wrong thing. It's just like the person who went and got a qualification, who's too proud to admit that, okay, maybe this qualification is not the answer that I was looking for. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can pivot, find a way that works, ask different questions, go sit down with someone else, figure out a way that works. But the truth is, if you are heading into a new year and you are tired because things just haven't worked out, and you went through another year that was just like every other year. We start with this podcast as it is, mindset, right?
Yeah.
You start with the mindset. You realize, okay, what are some of the hang-ups in the way I think, in the way that I approach life, problems, in the way I approach opportunities, all of that. And you start to question it one by one. And that's probably the hardest part of your process. The hardest part of your process is changing you. Because once you've changed you, I think it's Myron Golden who says, you have to become the person that the work will work for. Because the work works, right? The work works. And a lot of people say, you gotta work hard. But some people are discouraged because I've been doing the work, but it's not working. But you haven't done the work of becoming the person that the work will work for. So two people sit down together, they do the same amount of work, and one gets results, one doesn't get results. Two people go and get different qualifications. One, it works for, it's good for. So the question then is, are you the kind of person that the work will work for? That's the question.
That's the becoming part.
So as the person, as we head into the new year, and you're trying to figure out why you're not winning, why you're still stuck, start to analyze every part of this. As a believer, when you go to the Bible, there is a very interesting story where Jesus is with his disciples when he finds them struggling to cast out a demon. Right?
Yeah.
They can't cast it out. They've tried everything. When he shows up, he casts out the demon and the boy is freed, goes on his way. But the disciples don't just say, wow, he's just so good. They go on to ask him in private, why couldn't we cast it out?
Yeah.
And that's an important question. You don't just say some things work out and sometimes it doesn't, my time hasn't come. No, you have to ask the right questions.
Why couldn't I do it?
Why couldn't I do it? How come? I got the qualification, I've got the relationship, I've consumed the content, I listen to the podcasts, I read the books. So why isn't it working for me? What piece am I missing? And when you start asking those questions more intentionally, you start sitting down with the right people, the relevant people, then I promise you, you will find a solution.
That's what you say to me, you know that.
I guess
You're
so.
not asking the right questions.
I guess so. And I think, I'm glad the message is consistent, because for me, that's what it was. That's what it was for me. And it's an ongoing process, right? Even right now, I'm asking myself different questions. I'm asking myself, why can't I sell 100,000 copies of my book in one day? I don't just say, yeah, my time will come. No, why can't I do it? What am I missing? I know someone else can do it, right? I was listening to somebody or rather I was watching someone, Alex Hormozi.
He broke the record, man. He put marketing philosophies to shame.
Exactly. And as I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, why can't I do 100,000 in a day? If he can do 2 million in a day, why can I not do 100 in a day? Surely there must be an answer in there. And if you are too lazy and too proud and thinking that you've got the answers, you know everything that needs to be done.
What's the first step for you? Is it asking that question that stretches you, or having the goal clear first in mind that this is what's possible, and then asking, why can't I do it? What do you think comes first? The questions or clarity of the goal and the mission?
It's the vision that comes first, right? It's the vision that comes first, because think about it this way. You see an empty field close to where you live. It's always been empty. It's always been just grass on it. And then one day someone decides they want to develop something on there. They want to build something. And the first thing that the builders will have is the finished plan, which is in this regard, the vision. Right? Yeah. You've got the vision. You've got, as you are passing by, as a passerby, of course, internally there will be some other research that needs to be done, and you got to know the soil and all of that.
Yeah.
But to the person on the outside, as you walk by, all the vision is, I want a building. I want a building. And then you get into, who do I need to talk to? What kind of tools do we need? What's the budget going to be? And all of these things. And most people rob themselves of their destinies because they start with, how much is it going to cost? Where am I going to find the right person? And you will never figure it out until you approach your vision with conviction. You have to know deep within, what do I actually want? What do I want more than anything? Forget the money, forget the cost, forget the relationships I don't have, the resources, forget all of that. What do I actually want?
That's interesting.
That's that big building that's on a board. While the field is still empty, that big shopping complex that is rendered in 3D that you see on a board passing by, and you say, oh, that's what's going to be here. And the day it's done, you say, oh, that is it, right? That's how human beings work. That is how the human mind operates. We see it first, and then we work our way backwards to see how it's done. So that I believe a vision comes first.
So which means even if we're looking to the next year and you want a brighter and better 2026 or next year, you just have to be clear about what that looks like. And for many people, they are more clear about what they have to sacrifice to get anything.
Yes.
What they don't have, all their limitations, those are clear.
Yes.
Why they can't do certain things. You're more clear about your limitations than your goals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And whatever it is that you focus on amplifies, right? When you focus on, for example, with you and the podcast.
Yeah.
When you focus on, I'm not reaching the people, I've only got 30 views, it's not like such and such a podcast. You stay in that place because whatever you focus on, you multiply, you amplify. But when you change the perspective and you focus on, wow, there are 30 people who are listening. There are 20 people that I'm reaching. Even if it was 10 people, I'm reaching people. If I can reach 10, that means I can do 20. If I can do 20, that means 40 is possible. 40, 80, 160. That means I can actually get 1,000 people. I can get to 10,000 people. So when you change your perspective in that way, it completely transforms you.
It does.
You change, right? So I think most people, like you say, are focused on what doesn't work, why it won't. I coach individuals, and when I sit down with people very often, I say somebody wants to write a book, they've had this idea for a long time, they're still stuck. And I say, okay, so where are you right now? I want to write the book, but I don't know where to start with publishers. I say, but have you written? No, but the thing is, the publishing, but have you written though? You don't need a publisher to write.
Yeah.
Have you written? No, the thing is, and
They look at step number 10.
you see, they go that far ahead. Listen, you want a book. You know you want a book. That's what you know.
Yeah.
So let's walk it back. What needs to be done today for you to get to the point where you have the book? Then you start there. You know, I remember saying this to a friend of mine who wanted to start a farm. He wanted to farm flowers.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how much it's gonna cost and this. I said, okay, have you ever in your life just bought a pot little thing and planted flowers in your backyard? Start there, right? Because you want to go and experiment with a big field, and on top of that, you want somebody to give you the funding. You want to do it with someone else's money. You want someone else to give you their money to go and experiment on a big field.
You have no proof, no traction.
In your backyard, figure out, learn how it works, learn the conditions, learn how to take care of them, learn what it is that actually works. You do it in this little space. And then you can say, I really need a big field. I need a hectare because I have outgrown this. And most people haven't outgrown where they are, and they're asking for the next level. You need to first outgrow this, and then the thing you're asking for comes automatically. It comes
Deep, man.
automatically.
Most people haven't outgrown where they are, but they keep asking for the next level.
Yes, you are still size 6 and you're asking for size 10 shoes. Wear your size 6 shoes until you outgrow them. You're complaining about how we won't buy you a size 9, size 11, but you haven't outgrown these size 6s. Wear them. Run in them, walk in them, and one day you will outgrow them. And if anybody watching this is a parent, you will know that your child doesn't even have to beg. You will look at them and say, those shoes are too small, take them off, I'm going to get you new ones. And that's really how life works, right? That's how God works. When you outgrow the shoes that you are in right now, you don't even have to ask. Automatically.
You unlock the next level.
Yes. Tando, this is too small for you. You need your own facility. Yeah. You cannot handle what you are doing at this level. Here's some more. Here's the next level. That's how it works.
The challenge is the growing. Let's get to the book, man. I want to learn how to unlock favor with God and with men. You share quite a number of principles here. Which one do you think would be a stand-up one for someone who's looking ahead to the year ahead, who says, I don't know how to unlock favor with God?
One. One. Okay, so because there's a couple of principles in there.
Yeah, I know there's many in the book.
You know, some of them. Yeah. You know, some of them practical and some of them spiritual. Right? So when it comes to practical principles, I would say it's the first one that I write about, which is the power of a gift. Now, the Bible says your gift will make room for you and put you in the presence of great men. And for a lot of people, what has happened is they misinterpreted that to mean if you are talented, you'll go far. But the truth is, you can be talented and not go anywhere. It all depends on how you use it to bless us. Right? If you can sing, if you sing amazing and you sing around your family, you sing in the shower, but you have an amazing voice, it doesn't matter. No one cares. It won't take you anywhere. It will not put you in the presence of great men. So when you take your gift and you use it to bless people, you find ways to strategically bless people. You become a giver. Then you see how doors open. That's what places you in the presence of great men. As a matter of fact, in the Bible, when it uses that word gift, it doesn't even talk about talents. What it talks about an actual gift, which in that time the word would have even been interpreted as a bribe of some sort.
Okay.
Right? But it is to say, if you know the right people to gift, doors can open. Now, of course, there is a little warning in there to say every good principle can be twisted.
Yeah.
Every good principle can be manipulated. So you want to be mindful of that. We are obviously intentional about that. We don't just assume that that means the corrupt people who are bribing to get out of trouble with the law. No, it's not to say that. Listen, every good principle, it doesn't matter what it is, it can all be twisted. The thing is, for us as believers, as people who are trying to do things the right way, we shouldn't shy away from principles that actually work. Become a giver. I say to people all the time, listen, be wise, of course. Do it in a way that is above reproach, above board. But be a giver at your workplace, even to your superiors, the people who put you in this room. You remember how you sat in front of them begging for a job. Now, find a way to just, when you bake at home, bring cookies for everyone in the office. Be known for that person who is generous. Be known for being a giver. You'll see how that fast tracks your way forward. So in this case, when we talk about your gift, when we talk about you being positioned in places of influence and power, people care about what they can get from you. That's what people care about.
True.
Yes, there's a lot that you can get from the people. People care about what they can get from you. And sometimes you want to be positioned in the presence of the great. And the problem with that is that influential people are used to people asking for stuff. They are used to someone begging for something every single day. You look at a famous person online, their inbox is flooded with people who are asking. I'm hungry. Could you give me this? I'm a student who's struggling. I'm a mother who's struggling.
I get those a lot now.
Yeah, I'm a young, ambitious guy who's trying to start his own podcast. Can you help? And no one, hardly anyone says, hey, listen, I'm a graphic designer who's really good at this and that. This is my work. Can I do this for you? That's all I want. I just want to do this for you free of charge. Don't worry about it. All that matters to me is that I get close to you. So I'll do this for you. That's how you open the door to get to Ntando. That's how you open the door to get to the influential person that you want to get to. But most people do not understand this principle of giving. Become a giver. Become a person who lives with a hand that is stretched out to give more than to take. And if you can do that, watch how doors open. I'll put it to you like this.
I love it, man. I love it.
And then I'll let you talk again. But I'll put it to you like this. The way that I built my social media presence is through giving. I do a live stream every single day. For an hour, I'm doing Bible studies. I'm encouraging people. I'm empowering people. I'm not charging them. They're not paying me. I'm not asking for donations. None of that. I did that for a long time. Every single day you put
How long are you talking?
We're talking before I started getting some real recognition, it was about a year and a half of just every day. I'm not saying every week. I'm saying every day.
Are you serious?
Every single day. Right? And to this point, I'm still doing it. And as a matter of fact, now it's a couple of hundred people who sit down with me every evening to have these sessions. And before we got to over 100, before we cracked 100 people sitting with me every evening, that was like 3 years. That was like 3 years. 80
to get
people,
to that.
Yeah, 80 people, 90 people, 60 people on the weekends, 50 people, but just consistently doing it. Because
someone told me that there's a live of yours. They joined this one time and it had almost 1 million people or something, and they were commenting and saying 1 million likes, and they were saying, let's get him over the 1 million.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's recent, right? That is not 2024, 2023. No. Before that, oh my goodness. Oh my God, I was just patient, man. I was just patient. But all of it was coming from a place of just giving. There's something that was done for me and I really believe in it, and I just want to give it to the next person. I just want to bless other people with it as well. And to me, that works. To me, if you can get good at giving, find strategic ways, because there is a strategic way to do it. Of course, don't let people abuse you and use you unfairly. All of that must be implied. But you as an individual, you are capable of strategically positioning yourself as a giver to the point where people will just be grateful. People will just be grateful. And there are those people who you just want to bless them.
Okay.
You just want to bless them.
Love it, man. At what point in your life did you say, this is my gift and this is what I'm going to give out to the marketplace?
When I was 19. When I was 19, just came out of school. And the reason for that was speaking was the first thing that I was good at. You know, that which to me felt good, because I grew up as somebody who wasn't the first one you choose. I was never really the guy you call out in the crowd to do anything for you.
Yeah.
Even in the streets playing ball, I wasn't the guy you choose first. I was the guy that everyone fights not to have in their team. You know, like, but we took him yesterday, you take him today. You know, that's who I was. Growing up, I was very reserved to myself, in the corner. And one day I discovered that I can actually communicate. I'm able to put words together, put thoughts together, and communicate them in a way that is effective and impactful. And when I learned that I'm good at this, man, everything changed for me. Everything really changed for me, because it matters you just want to be good at something. You want to be the guy they call for something. So when I realized that was me, that I was the guy you look to give you a word, to speak, to use my voice for good, I said, okay, that's it. This is me.
Why did you decide to do it on social media?
I decided to do it on social media because of COVID. Which is crazy, because at the time I was young, but I was like a very old person in my mentality about social media. Social media is for kids. It's a waste of time. You know, people on social media are not doing real work in the world. And then COVID hit us, and I couldn't do real work out in the world. And I realized everyone is online. You know, even churches that would preach against social media, they were join our services online. So when I realized that, I said, okay, so these people are online. This is the only way to reach them. And I gave it a shot. Just started putting out that content consistently. Again, a whole year before I started getting like 1,000 views. Just every day putting out videos. So that's what it was.
Every day, man.
Every day, brother. Every day. And I will say this as well. For the person who is discouraged, for the person for whom nothing is working out, chances are what you have is time, right? What you have is time. And so time was my advantage. There is someone who has relationships. They were born into a family that is politically connected, and in the corporate world, they're connected. And so they have that advantage. My advantage was time and grind. That was my advantage. I didn't have a family that had the connections. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the funding for whatever. My advantage was the grind. I didn't even have the means to go to university. My advantage at that time was the grind. Just work, right? And if you can outwork some of the disadvantages that you have, you will be okay. All you have to do is just outwork the fact that you don't have connections. And somebody watching this is like, you can't outwork, you need connections. I know it. One of the principles in this book is relationships, the power of relationships. But the fact is, you start with the power of a gift. And as a matter of fact, the way that it goes is the power of a gift, and then we speak about the power of value, we speak about the power of excellence, and then the power of relationships. Because if you take the gift that you have and you become a giver more than a taker, you bring value to the marketplace or wherever you are. You do it with excellence. You will find the right relationships. And at that phase, then you need to become intentional about forming the right relationships, keeping them and honoring them and building them to be strong enough to carry you through the tough times and whatever. But the unfortunate truth is that some of us don't start with the good relationships. And so what will we do? We're going to work so hard that it will be impossible to not notice us. You will notice because of the work that we are doing. You will notice because of the effort, the consistency, the excellence through which I deliver my work. Then there comes a time when all of a sudden you see me in Cape Town at Parliament. How did he get called to Parliament? But to relationships are good. What relationships? These people saw me on social media. The right person saw me on social media doing what I've always done. And they said, can we? And then when you get then you form a relationship, right? When you get through that door. Because sometimes you get an opportunity to walk into a room once. Take every opportunity you can to form the right relationship. So that's what it is.
That's power, bro. That's power. I'm asking myself a question, listening to the pattern that you were giving, the 4 stages to get to the relationship, and saying, where is God in this? Because the principle of the book is unlocking favor with God. And the steps look like they apply to a believer as much as they do to a non-believer as well. How does God come into this picture?
So the problem is that most believers, most Christians, make the mistake of thinking that God owes them certain privileges because they are believers, right? But the truth is, as a believer, as a believer, you are saved. You know that you are going to heaven. God loves you. God has forgiven you of your sins. That will not make you rich, though, right? That doesn't matter in the marketplace. In the marketplace, it doesn't matter. God has forgiven you. Listen, you are going to heaven. It's fine. We get it. That I will always tell you. You didn't even have to work for God to save your soul and guarantee a relationship with Him. You're going to go to heaven. But while you're here on earth, you might suffer for a long time if you don't get some of these practical steps, right? There are practical things you must get about how we operate on this realm. You know, a great way to put this, if you go to, for those who read the Bible, if you go to Exodus, in Numbers, and you look at the journey of God's people out of the land of slavery and oppression to the promised land, as they make their way to the promised land, they get stuck for 40 years, going around and around in circles. And God's reason for that, He says, I will take them in this roundabout route because if they face trouble, they will turn around and go back. Right? They were saved by God. They were rescued from there by God. But if they face trouble, they will turn around and go back. They had not yet developed the mindset to become the occupants of the promised land. So they needed to first have that work for 40 years. But here's the thing. It gets even better where in Numbers chapter 14, what happens is they have been to the promised land to explore it. Right? Their leader said, go into the promised land, explore it, see if it's good or not. They come back with a report that says it's good. And the majority of them say, yes, it's good, but it's also going to be hard, man. It's impossible. Right?
There's
so
giants there.
They lead with that. They are so afraid that they start to freak out. They start to panic and they say, we should just pick a leader and go back to where we come from, the land of oppression and slavery. And then here's the most fascinating part of this. What then happens is God says, okay, these people have treated me with contempt. Moses says, God, please forgive them. He's the leader. He says, please forgive them. God says, I forgive them, but they won't make it to the promised land.
True.
So you're forgiven. It's fine. It's fine. I forgive you. Your sins are forgiven. It's okay. But these ones here, they won't make it to the promised land. There are 2 who came back with a report that says, we can do this. And God says, those 2 plus the children, those are the ones who will go in and inherit the promised land. But these ones who doubted me, these ones who panicked, who were afraid, they will not make it in. So the reason why we have these practical principles that we must teach even to believers is because God will forgive you, but God won't do the work for you. Right?
To get to the promised land.
Yes, He won't do the work for you. And chances are, if you needed to be forgiven, if you needed to be saved from something, taken out of poverty, taken out of struggle and addictions, chances are you have a mindset issue now. Chances are your mindset still lacks. Your mindset still needs to be developed. Your mindset needs to be taken from where you are to where you need to be. And if you will not allow for that to happen, you just won't make it. So do that. Listen, you can say, this thing of relationships and value and excellence and whatever, that's for the people of the world. That's why the people of the world will keep on winning. Because the truth is, even though God forgave you, you still need to conduct your work with excellence. You still need to bring value to the marketplace. You still need to have the right relationships. You still need to be a giver. You still need to do all of those things. So that is where God comes into all of this, because these principles are rooted in Scripture. They are rooted in what God gave us. The people that we look at in the Bible as examples, they operated in this way. So where God comes in is in the fact that this comes from the Bible. These principles are there in the Bible, God. And you will find them as well out in the marketplace where you work.
Powerful, man. When you look at someone who says, okay, I hear you, I want to get started. Is it more prayer that unlocks this, or it's more practice of the principle? Because I think I remember at some point you were saying, you don't charge people for prayer?
Of course.
And there was a reason behind that. How does it connect? Because there are many people that get abused because they believe, for me to unlock this favor, or they get taught that go and sow this amount of money to unlock favor for 2026.
See, you see that is a sure way. Listen, I've seen people, I know people, you go through this prophet to that prophet to that prophet to that prophet. Everyone is selling you oil and water, and they're selling you a prayer. The truth is, you cannot separate prayer and work. You can't separate the two. You have to be able to practice both. In Nehemiah, once again in the Bible, if you go to Nehemiah, you see there's a man called Nehemiah who wants to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Right? The walls of a city have been destroyed. He's heartbroken over this. His people are desperate. They are vulnerable. They're in trouble. And he gets this inclination that he has to go and rebuild the wall. He'll take it upon himself. The first thing he does is he prays. Okay. But when he prays, he doesn't only pray to say, God, what are we going to do? He prays to say, God, I'm aware of how I got to where I am, right? How we got to where we are.
Yeah.
We're aware of how we got here. We know what we did. We know how we disobeyed. Secondly, he says, but also I know that if we do things the right way, you will help us. And then thirdly, he says, now give me favor with this king of a distant land. He says, give me favor, because he needed permission to go back, to go rebuild, and he needed resources and he needed access. So he prays to say, God, give me favor as I go out there so that I can have this. After he prays, he goes out there. The king notices. The king gives him the favor. He goes back home. He starts rebuilding. But now in the rebuilding process, there's a lot of attacks. There's a lot of discouragement to the building process. And then he says, he himself, as he's recording what happened and how it happened, he says, my builders started to be discouraged. Their strength started to give out. And then what I did was I positioned some men who would be the fighters, and there were some men who would be the builders, right? And then in another place he says, with one hand they were building, with one hand they were holding a weapon. So this principle is to be understood. You don't separate, do I focus on prayer, do I focus on the work? One hand on my work and one hand on this weapon, right? Which in our case is prayer. So I pray every single day. I wake up in the morning, I ask God for direction, and I move in that direction. So you don't want to try and separate the two, because for a lot of us, we understand that most of these matters are spiritual matters. So the matters of favor, access, grace, people just unjustifiably doing good for you, giving you kindness. These are spiritual matters. So what we do is we pray. We take it to God in prayer every single day and say, point me in the direction I should go. And I move in that direction. So you must be capable of having one hand on your work and having one hand on a weapon to say, I will protect myself while I do the work. I will continue to pray while I do the work. You don't separate the two.
Personally, why don't you charge when people come for prayer?
Because it's free. You can talk to God. Talk to God, and I understand what people are trying to do, and some of them, they've been conditioned that way, right? To believe that the power is with that man of God there. The power is not with me. The power is not with me. I am merely just a channel through which God works when it comes to the wisdom, when it comes to some of the answers that you might be looking for, the strategy you might be looking for, whatever. I'm just a channel for that. But as for you needing that connection with God, that communion with God, that's up to you. God is just as available to me as he is to you. Now, when you sit down with me and you say, I need strategy for my business, I need strategy for this next phase of my life, I do coaching and people pay me for coaching, but that's because of the knowledge that I went and gathered that took a lot of time, and it took a lot of effort and work and discipline, and I paid the price for that. And now I come to share it and people pay me for it. I go to speak somewhere, people pay me for it. That's a service that I render. That is a solution that I bring. But if it is prayer, talk to God. Talk to God. And if I ever get a chance to pray with you, I'll pray with you for free, right? I'll pray with you for free if I ever get the chance. And I would love that. But there's no amount of praying that I can do for you that will replace the need for you to go and talk to God.
Wonderful. We'll go back to the Nehemiah story, because when you spoke about it, I was thinking a lot of people are actually there. It's time to rebuild. And you shared quite a number of principles there. But there's one that I'm thinking of, just off topic.
Of course.
You're always looking formal, clean, and I'm thinking of your principle of excellence. Where does that come from? Is this another one of your principles, or you decided to just be intentional about how you show up?
I learned this a couple of years ago. There's a man who noticed me online every single day. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I told you I've been doing these live streams a long time.
Yeah.
Guess what? When I started doing my daily live streams, I would do them early in the morning. Now I do them in the evenings. I would do them early in the morning, and I would just put on my gown and sit in front of the camera. That's what I did. I kid you not.
So you've been there as well.
And in my mind, it's a morning thing. People understand. So just put on a shirt, put on a gown, and open the Bible. I mean, people read the Bible this way at home anyway. You sit there in your gown and you read the Bible. And so I didn't think much of it when it came to how I'm presenting myself online. I still cringe when I look back at that. I used to sit there in a gown and talk to people. Mind you, at 7 a.m, people who are on their way to work, people who woke up at 5 and cleaned themselves up and put on a button-up shirt to go to work, and now they have to listen to me sitting there in a gown. That just doesn't work. And so for me, how I show up came from...
So someone called you out.
Someone called me out, and he became a blessing of God in my life. I'll always be grateful for that man, because as a matter of fact, he went as far as buying me my first suits. Right? Now, here's what he says. And this is, of course, this is going to add some other things, but just an exposure of my mindset at the time. I'm in a place where I don't have much going for myself at that time. He sees me, and he immediately sees the potential. And then one day he calls me, tries to get my story, yada, yada, yada. And then I meet with him one day. And then one day he takes me to go to buy me a suit. He says, you need a suit. We need to get you a suit. I still remember walking into the suit shop. I said, not this much. Because I started to count, but I don't have a proper laptop. I had this old Toshiba laptop that was given to... I don't have a proper laptop. I don't have this. I don't have that. I don't have that. I can't be buying a 10,000 rand suit. I said, it's my money. You're getting a suit, right? It's my money. It's not your money. You just get a suit. Don't worry. We'll get a laptop. I said, you'll get me a laptop too? Right? Now my mindset is being challenged at this point, because I come from a poverty mindset where it's one at a time.
Yeah.
If you get shoes now, you can't get that. If you get This now you can't get that.
You have to
gotta
wait.
choose one, right? And he says, no, just get suits. And he gets me 2 suits, right? And at the time, I used to think to myself, no, I gotta be authentic, show up as myself. It's not about how I'm dressed. I remember, my brother, I put that suit on in the shop to look at myself in the mirror. And as I was fitting it, some ladies were passing by the door and they looked at me. I said, okay. I said, my man, we're going to take this. We're going to take this and we're going to take that other one as well. But he was such a blessing to me because at that time, he showed me this really profound principle, which is that people will only address you as they perceive you. They'll treat you as they perceive you, right? At that, you might think to yourself, and look at, for example, the guys in the streets. When you look at a homeless guy in the street, respectfully, of course, he would think to himself that the way he's dressed, raggedy stuff, would invoke pity from you and make you feel sorry for him, right? And he would then get some money from you, some change. But the truth is, if you are looking in your car and you have a 100 rand note over there, a 10 rand note, a 5 rand coin, most people will reach for the 5 rand coin because that is fitting for what you look like, for how you are. That's what's fitting for you. Now, if you have Mr. Patrice Motsepe walk in here and he says, I need some money to get something downstairs quickly, but I don't have any cash on me. And you have the same 5 rand coin, 20 rand coin, 100 rand coin. Chances are you are reaching for that 100 rand note.
The last number.
You give him the 100 rand note and you say, no, of course. It could be your last money. Of course. No, here you go. You are just so glad for him to have your money, right? Even though he doesn't need it. So the way that I present myself, the way that I prefer to appear now is based on the fact that people will address you how they perceive you. I see you a certain way, it tells me something about you. Everything about you says something about you. So I'm looking at the way you dress and I can start making assumptions, right? Yeah, it's shallow. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's shallow. We're a shallow society, right? We are a shallow society. You yourself watching this saying, but that's so shallow. You know how you treat certain men when they walk in there with cars that have 4 pipes in them, right? You know how you treat them differently. You know how you treat the man who's covering the bill for a table of 10. That it just comes down to that's how we are as human beings. So you want to take advantage of the fact that people are visual. I see you before I hear you. And so by the time you speak, I've already formed an opinion.
True.
And if it was a bad opinion, you are starting on the back foot to make up your impression, to show me that you are actually a responsible, a well put together human being. It could be so much easier if you did that in the way that you appear, and it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be a 50,000 rand suit. No, you do it. You do it by what you have in your wardrobe right now. You iron it. You put it together well. You put on a button. Guys, gentlemen, get a jacket and a shirt. Just a jacket and a shirt. Just a blazer. Just a blazer and a shirt.
Put yourself together.
You know, and when you do this, you will see how people respond to you. I remember a friend of mine saying to me, he was into suits long before me. And he used to always say to me, put on a suit and go to the shop. See how you get treated versus when you are in your shorts and flip-flops. It's very different. It's very different. And if you say, I don't want people who are going to treat me that way, that's fine. That's you. That's you. And you can have it your way.
All right, man. Let's wrap it off with the principles that you shared. I think it was the 4 from Nehemiah. I want to have a big year. If someone says, I want to have a big year, and I'm in this rebuilding process, I think the way you broke it down was a clear picture of what rebuilding looks like. And I remember the first principle was Nehemiah saying to God, we know how we got ourselves here. That's number 1. Like a deep diagnostic on how did I get here in the first place.
Absolutely. Break the hold of victimhood on your life. And by the way, Some people who have a victim mindset are genuine victims. So I'm not blind to that. I'm not oblivious to the fact that some people have a victim mindset because they were actual victims. Break the hold of victimhood over your life. Take that power back. Without sounding cliche, take that power back. Bring the responsibility for your life to yourself, because as long as you blame systems and people and that individual, so and so, you continue to stay there. So what I want to do is I want to bring it to a point where I just analyze, what is it that I did that got me here? What is it that I did? Somebody might say, I went through a divorce, it wasn't even my fault. At least admit that you chose him or her. At least admit that. Like, at least admit, God, this was my choosing.
I said yes.
I said yes. I said yes. I probably even saw a red flag here and there, whatever, but I said yes. Yeah, no, they were abusive, they cheated, they did this, it ended, took everything from you, but at least start by owning your life. This is what I did. This is where I went wrong. These are some of the decisions that I made which led me here. And then, the second thing that he does, of course, is, but I know that if we start doing this, then things could work out better.
Yeah.
So, and that sometimes, some people don't know, and maybe they need to sit with someone else or whatever. They need to go find some information, but okay, these are the decisions we need to start making in order for things to be better. Okay, now that we know that, the third thing that he does is he says, God, give me favor.
Yeah.
Now, this is between you and God. This is what no man can give you, between you and God. Because some of the other principles, like I told you, are spiritual, prayer and fasting and understanding the awareness of God's presence, the power of faith.
Yeah.
But between you and God is a matter of access. It's a matter of strongholds being broken. It's a matter of unexplainable delay being broken, because for some people, some delays cannot be explained, and you need that part. You need that phase where you just talk to God and say, God, I need favor. I need speed. I need access. I need that open door. I need things to break my way. Give me favor. And
I'm doing everything else this side.
I'm doing everything else, right? I've went through everything. I know what I did wrong. I'm going to correct it. Now, I just need your favor. I need your blessing for when I leave this place, when I get up from my knees and go out to do the work. I need your favor. And from there, we go on to begin the rebuilding process. And as you carry out the rebuilding process. Now, of course, there are other things that we haven't spoken about in the story of Nehemiah because it's so packed. But, there are other things such as focus. Focus will change your life. Focus will change your life. I'm telling you now, there are people who don't have a work ethic issue. It's just a focus issue.
You're doing too many things.
Today I'm doing a podcast on mindset profits. Tomorrow I'm teaching dance classes on social media. And then the following day I'm making jokes. And then the following day I'm talking about Njolo over there. And you never become an authority on anything. We never see you as anyone who we come to. We cannot come back to you for relationships. We can't come to you for personal development, because
you're all over the place.
You are, I always say, you are pizza from Spa. Like it's somewhere in there. Like it's you sell pizza at Spa. If I really want pizza, I want to go to a pizza place. If I really want steak, I want to go to a steakhouse. But you end up becoming a steak from Yes, that's behind the burgers. We have steak somewhere in there. You don't want to become that person. Sharpen your focus. You will become deadly. You'll become really dangerous if you can declutter your life. Just remove all that fog. Focus, zone in, and know exactly what you want, where you're going, and everything that doesn't add to that is a distraction. Everything. If you called me here today to talk about my love life, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. That's not going to add to the vision that I have.
Yeah.
Right? I'm on my way to selling 100,000 copies of my book. If that's the mission, and I know that this thing is serving people, it's benefiting people, why am I showing up to, smash or pass? Or I'm not interested. You are a distraction right now. So we need to understand that. And of course, this is very brief. You cannot solve someone's life problems in a single hour.
Yeah.
But I will say to whoever's watching this, start here and then go on to uncover as much as possible. Get unlocking favor with God and people, and just go into those principles one by one. There's a reason why we get testimonies all the time from people who actually read and apply.
Yeah.
You have to start doing things differently. Start doing things differently. And I promise you, it's all going to work out.
There was one thing you added as well. That Nehemiah was clear about the king that he needed favor from. So that's clarity on the man in your life that you need favor from, or the people around you that you need favor from.
Of course. And sometimes it's not a specific person. Sometimes it's a type of person. Right? Sometimes in your mind you need a placeholder, because I know I need someone like Ntando, but he might not feel that this is aligned with his mission. He might not give me attention. So I cannot have my destiny held hostage to whether you want to do good for me or not. But I know that it's a type of person. It's, the type of person that I'm praying about has a specific kind of access, a specific kind of understanding and wisdom, specific counsel that they can give me. So it might happen that after I pray for them, even though I know all these wonderful people in my life, I meet that person as I walk out of the door. That's it.
Wonderful. The last thing, have you faced a situation where things got so tough that even you felt like giving up? Or even if you didn't think I'd give up, but it was so hard that many people would have.
My brother, man, I don't even know which one to explain.
There are many.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine online. He calls himself Dr. Coca-Cola. But I had a conversation with him. We were talking about a season in our lives when we used to talk, because we went through a really tough season together. And we used to talk every day. And just a few days ago, he said, bro, do you think people would believe us if we told them how we used to live? And I said, nah, they wouldn't believe it. Because at the time, we kept showing up the same way. Online, showing up the same way. Out there, just showing up the same way. You invite us to an event, we show up the same way. But at night, over the phone, we're on the phone. Have you eaten today? No, I haven't eaten either. This is crazy, bro. Right? It got to that point. And
whoa, I know him from TikTok.
Yes. No, listen, we used to talk about that all the time. If you sit down with him, he will tell you. But I think more specifically to me, there was a season of my life where I was still doing what I'm doing online, still showing up for people. And at that point, for a couple of months, every single day, I was working just to make enough money to go to a guest house. Right? Now, this was testing. This was testing, my brother. I have a video that I made at that point, which is probably one of the worst days, because that day I couldn't even get the money. I didn't have a way out. And there was a guy who, I didn't even know him that well, but he had a family, so he wouldn't just bring me in the house. He's got these girls. And he said to me, hey man, if you need a place to stay, I've got this bikey that I've parked in the yard for some time now. You can just press now, bring you a blanket. Walked in there. He brought a blanket, woke up in the morning. I remember that day I made a video. I recorded that video and I'll put it out one day, but I recorded a video detailing exactly what is happening. And I said, but I'm not going to give up. I'll keep showing up the same way. I will keep putting forward the same kind of effort, the same consistency. No one will see it when they look at me from outside, because I know that it's passing. And this is the moment of truth where I live out those cliche quotes. This is the moment of truth where I prove that I really believe what I'm talking about. And my brother, I still remember sitting there. I said, okay, it's done. And I had this certainty. It's like a deep conviction that I'm literally just passing through. I know I'm just passing through. I know this is done. So in that season, every single day, just make enough money to go to a guest house, sleep over there, see if I can make enough money to pay for 2 nights, 3 nights. When I'm struggling, call a friend nearby, say, listen, I'm coming to crash, for 2 nights. And at the time, I'm not even telling anybody what I'm really going through. I'm not telling anybody. I'm not telling my family. I'm not telling my friends. I'm not telling anyone. It's a good thing I didn't even have a woman at that time. That would have brought me stress. But, I'm just going through this with this conviction that it is done. It's done. I know I've already gotten over it. I'm just experiencing what's left of it. And went on for a couple of months, man. It went on for a couple of months, and I'm here now.
How did you separate yourself from the imposter syndrome? Because I see in a phase and a season like that, a lot of people would feel like I'm inspiring people out there, but I need the inspiration more. I'm telling people life can be better, but mine is getting worse. I'm actually in a worse off place now than I was a year ago or 2 years ago. That is where I think that kind of test is where people can fail it. For you, you're saying it's conviction that pushed you through.
It is, right? But also it's exactly what I'm talking about, the diagnosis of how I got here. And I'll be very honest with you, even though somebody might hear this and say, man, you went through a lot. The truth is, at that time, I looked at my life, I read The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And it was so brutal because the suggestion with this was, everything is your fault. Everything is how you think. And I was like, it's my fault that I'm going through this when I'm doing all these good things? But I cannot outpreach, outspeak a negative mindset. There were patterns of poverty that were stuck with me, of struggle. They were stuck with me from where I come from how I came up. It was stuck with me, the language that I used to speak. And at that time, I realized one day that what I'm going through now is a result of yesterday's thinking. It's a result of yesterday's mindset. I'm reaping the fruits. I don't like to admit it, right? But while I'm struggling, these conditions that I'm in are a result of a mindset that I used to carry. Because you will always reap whatever you sow in your mind. Those belief systems, they will always manifest in your conditions. And so for me, that was the manifestation of those conditions. I'll give you an example because for me, it's from how I grew up.
Yeah.
And as an example, just a couple of days ago, I spoke to my mom, right? Love her. But I say to her, sorry, haven't been able to speak much lately. I've really been busy. I've been working really hard. And you know what she said? Yeah, ish, we work hard, but the money doesn't come. You see what I'm saying? So it shows you, it reveals a mindset. Now, it's very unfortunate to hear that for me because I'm like, wow, how would you think that way? Because I don't want to live that way. And at the time, I used to have that mindset. You work hard, the money doesn't come. Why would you believe that? So when you believe that, you will always find a way to sabotage yourself when the money has to come. When you'll always find a way to make sure that you prove yourself right. Because remember, you have to prove yourself right. If you say the money is not coming, you have to prove yourself right. If you say we're struggling, you have to. Your mind will receive that as a task to go out and prove everything that you believe right. So for me, that's what I had to do. When you talk about the imposter syndrome, there wasn't an imposter syndrome because I realized both things can be true at the same time. A man, of course, this is such a silly way to put it, but a man can tell you not to abuse your wife while he's abusing his wife. There's nothing wrong with saying, he must say that. Don't touch your wife. He has to say that. We can't say he's an imposter because he touches his wife, but he puts his hands on his wife, but he's telling us he's not lying though. Don't do it. And so for me, I overcome that by realizing, yes, I may read a book and then come and tell you, but look at a teacher.
Yeah.
There are many teachers who will teach you economics. And if you look at their life, you would think they don't understand how economics works, right? Somebody will teach you accounting. But if you look at their life, you'll think they've never read an accounting book in their life. So
what they are teaching is still true, though.
What they're teaching is still true. So what I was teaching was still true. I was convicted on it, and as a matter of fact, I realized that I need to apply more of what I'm teaching. I need to start walking the walk now. So I never shied away from speaking boldly and speaking confidently, because I realized I am missing something. I'm not applying it. Let me go apply it.
Powerful, man. This has been food for the soul. Food for 2026. If you want to have a big year. This is the book, Unlocking Favor with God and Men. How do people find you, and how do people find the book?
They get it on our website, polokoglobal.com. polokoglobal.com. We distribute it ourselves. It's not anywhere else. So just go to polokoglobal.com. It's available in ebook and in hard copy.
Wonderful, man. What's the best place to follow you?
Poloko Global on any social media, really, but TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Poloko Global. Yes, sir.
Thank you for showing up, man, and thank you for what you did for us here. So every Mindset Profits follower fan, do give him some thank you. Without this, man,
appreciate you, brother.
We don't end up here.
Congratulations, by the way. Congratulations on the success of this podcast. This is good. This is amazing, man. You've done amazing work. Whenever people thank me, I always, just have to return it to you, because I just said some words. You are the one who have to go do the work. And sometimes I think we can be a bit disingenuous when we accept the full credit for someone's life. You just spoke. They have to go and do the hard work. So you went and you did the hard work. I just said some words sitting next to you at dinner. That's it.
Funny thing is, you didn't even remember the words you said until I was reminding you. You just spoke from your heart.
Yep. So congratulations on your success, brother. This is amazing. I see the episodes. I see the impact that you're having, and we know that this is just the beginning. So let's keep going.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us till this time. May you have the biggest year of your life in 2026. We wish that from you. So from our side, see you in the next episode. Thank you.